if we don't be ourselves and show up in our own lives, it's not necessarily a fun process, but that's how we grow and change. Hey everybody, and welcome to Epic Everyday, our weekday podcast for busy, stressed out Christians who want to do more than just get through the day, who instead want to find freedom and abundance and peace. I'm Liz Frerichs, and this is my husband, Evan.
Hi there.
And we're so glad you guys are here with us today on this wonderful Tuesday. So this week, we are talking about self-control, and since it's Tuesday, we're going to talk about surrender. Yeah. As we talked about yesterday, kind of at the end there, mentioned, when we think about surrender and self-control, one of the things that was coming up for us was talking about giving up that self-control to other people. So kind of that idea of being a pushover, even though that's not a very nice way to put it.
Right. Well, yesterday we were talking about, this kind of self-control that's like, I'm gonna control things myself. Like that's not what the fruit of the Spirit is. These are gifts of the Holy Spirit. And so that's too much control. And this one is not enough. It's surrendering to anything and everything, having no say in the matter. And, we're probably not really okay with that. We want to do something else, but maybe we just feel like the forces of nature are too strong, and there's nothing really to do about it but to just kind of roll over and let it wash over you.
The forces of nature?
What does that make you think of?
Just, I don't know. Like, when I think about being a pushover, I think about people.
Yeah.
Because we have people in our family that are like steamrollers.
Okay.
So that's what I think about.
Well, yeah, it is. Right. I'm just thinking like a general sense of I'm going to give up. And then, you're just kind of, you're not surrendering intentionally. You're you've stopped trying. And that's
given up.
Yeah.
Raise your white flag.
Yeah.
I'm done.
One thing that's going to come out in this is, we're created in God's image, and we have this awesome gift called our free will. And when we stop using that, that's a big problem. And when we try to use it too much, like we talked about yesterday, that's also a problem.
Right.
We need to be in touch with God's plan and with the Holy Spirit. I mean, that's what this gift is a spiritual power, spiritual control.
Right. I was actually thinking about in Proverbs 25:28, where it says, like a city whose walls are broken down is a man who lacks self-control. If you've given up your rights to everybody else,
yeah,
there's no self-protection. You're just a city. Anybody can come in without self-control.
Mm-hmm. I think some of this is tied to personality. I mean, you and I.
Gee, really?
Well, because and just kind of having no self-control. It's not probably exactly like I described. But. Having a more passive personality, like there are other strengths there, but one of the things to really work on is assertiveness.
Right.
And that's been one of my projects, that I've been trying to work on. Whereas a more kind of, what's type A personality? Is that someone who just,
sure.
Those
are control freak people.
Their struggle is going to be letting some other people be in charge sometimes. So.
Yeah. And I can say that they're control freak people because I am a type A person.
Right. And I think in a lot of ways that's why it takes different personalities to get important things done. And that's why we're such a good team, I think.
Yeah, we totally do complement each other. I think some of the reasons why, at least for me, there are times when I struggle with that standing up for myself. And I think it comes from a fear of conflict or fear of hurting other people's, either hurting their feelings or I'm actually in the middle of writing a character in one of my stories who's just so afraid of causing situations that can't be redeemed that she doesn't ever... She's like walking on eggshells all the time.
Is that how she thinks about it? They can't be redeemed. Like there's nothing good could come of a disruption.
Right. That like... She's messed things up so badly in her past that she's like, I'm just going to walk on eggshells all the time.
Yeah.
And she has to learn that when you walk on eggshells, you don't leave a footprint.
Yeah.
Like, you don't ever actually help the other person grow. You yourself don't grow.
Well, that's interesting. I mean, that kind of is what I was describing. Like she's so like I'm here, but I'm kind of just trying to be a ghost. Nothing I do matters. Nothing I do impacts anything. Just let other powers and other people and other things control things, but not me. Like that's a totally removing yourself from the entire situation.
Right. But it's because she's afraid of making mistakes. It's not because she doesn't want to show up in her own life or because she thinks she's powerless. It's because she thinks she's too powerful,
I think that's a good point. The emotional reason of why we might do this. And I think that is one. Like we don't want to hurt people's feelings, don't want to cause an argument. Yeah. Just this lack of an understanding of the importance of conflict and resolution, not just conflict, but conflict and resolution.
Right. Healthy conflict.
Yeah.
Conflict where both people are like, here are my problems. And they both grow and change. And then they can have a healthier relationship afterwards. It doesn't really work if you start out with like, here's a problem.
Yeah.
And it never goes anywhere.
If that's something you struggle with, the kind of pushing in to work on this is going to be, it's going to be painful. I mean,
it's uncomfortable. Yeah. That's for sure.
And and it takes trusting that God has a purpose in the different little things that are uncomfortable about personal relationships,
Right. Well, I always think of, I think it was sometime in high school, I don't know, somebody gave this talk about how the Christian life is like putting a bunch of rocks in a rock polisher.
Okay.
And I have come back to that analogy many times because, the reason a rock polisher works, because all it does, it's just, you tumble these rocks around. That's all you do. They get moved around. And the only reason it works to polish them is because their sharp edges polish each other.
And they come out all smooth, right?
Right. But if they didn't start out with sharp edges to push off of each other, it wouldn't really work very well.
What would happen if you put a bunch of smooth rocks in there?
They'd probably just stay the same. They're already smooth.
Yeah.
I don't know. But if we don't be ourselves and show up in our own lives, even though it's uncomfortable because our sharp edges are rubbing against somebody else, it's uncomfortable for us, it's uncomfortable for them. People may misunderstand it. It's not necessarily a fun process, but that's how we grow and change.
Yeah.
That's how they grow and change. Everybody misses out when you're not showing up in your life.
Yeah, I think that's true. And even with God, I think we need to do a little bit of that grappling with God. Let our personality out in our prayer life and talk to God frankly and not hold back. I think this is something I feel like I'm learning right now where it's like when there's too many options, I get overwhelmed and I'm like, I don't know, God, just tell me what to do and I'll do it. And feels like a noble kind of surrender, like, I'll just say yes to whatever you want, God. And I don't think I don't feel like he's been doing that. Like, here's what you do, son. And
no,
it's more like experiencing things and trying stuff out and learning from failure and still trying again tomorrow. And I feel like God's guiding that process more than just, here's what you do. And that's not the kind of surrender we want either. We want these spiritual disciplines and fruits of the Spirit are things that can grow in us and develop. Part of me is just like, well, wouldn't it be just easier if you just gave me the instructions and I just followed them to a T?
Yeah.
And that's not how it works.
Yeah. I do love, though, that it's a practice. Like, as a perfectionist, the fact that you get to practice these things is just so freeing to me. You don't have to do them perfectly the first time or even the 100th time.
Yeah, right. Because it's about our personality changing. It's about us as people developing.
It's not a complete personality shift. Like, I want to make that clear. It's not like, Evan's a type 2 on Carol Tuttle's, her energy personality types. And it's definitely more laid back, more, trying to help
steady
other
state.
People.
Sure.
Right. And I'm not a type 2.
Right. Yes.
But so, working through my issues doesn't mean that I'm going to turn into a type 2, or working through your issues doesn't mean you're going to turn into some other type.
Yeah. And that's actually caused anxiety for me too. Like, I remember being in a counseling office and thinking about some change that I thought I ought to do. And I had anxiety, and I think maybe it was a good thing. I don't know. But I was just like, if I do that, the next time I go somewhere, I'll be this totally different person. And everybody's going to be like, what happened to you? Who are you? And that's not what we're talking about. Yeah, we're growing and changing, but we're still us. Like God wrote a personality for us. And that's very important to maintain. I mean,
right. We're talking about being the best you, not being the best somebody else.
That's right. And that's all by God's design.
All right. Well, hopefully that gives us all something to think about. You know, like I said, I'm writing this character because I've been there. I know the drill. I'm too afraid of messing things up, so I'm just not going to do anything. Hopefully that encourages you guys, too, to think about where are you not showing up in your life and how can you show up better? Whether that's your relationships with your family or with the Lord or with yourself.
Yeah.
And whatever that looks like.
And if this is a major cause of anxiety and a major fear to assert yourself a little bit more, know that this is a spiritual gift. It's not something you have to dredge up within yourself and, reach down inside yourself and find that strength. And it's not about that. It's about relying on God. It's about surrender. It's about prayer and learning from God. And He provides the stuff we need to do that.
We love you guys, and we're praying for you. As always, pick whether you're going to make today awesome or not. Are you going to focus on creating those neural pathways that focus on the good, or creating neural pathways that focus on the bad? Because when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Yep, it makes a difference, so we can make that choice.
Yep.
And we will, we make that choice in the morning. We also make it in the middle of the morning, in the afternoon, all day long. We have that opportunity, that choice before us.
Thanks to everybody that's been listening to the show and sharing the show. We really appreciate it. If you have found this podcast helpful, please do continue to share it. And come back tomorrow, and we're going to keep talking about self-control and talk about being centered in the middle of that.
Yeah, talking about the process of learning discipline.
Have an awesome Tuesday, you guys. We will talk to you tomorrow.
So long.